Hello and welcome to MarketSquare, your go-to show for deep insights into business and economic trends. I'm Olaitan Adebayo, and today we're diving into key developments across Nigeria. Stay with us. Welcome back to MarketSquare. The United Kingdom has announced a $7.5 million debt investment to support smallholder farmers in northern Nigeria. The funds routed through British international investment to agri-tech company Babangona aim to boost agricultural productivity and climate resilience. By 2029, the initiative is expected to directly benefit as many as 140,000 farmers. This investment is not just about money, it addresses some of the biggest challenges small farmers face: limited access to credit, lack of quality inputs like improved seeds and fertilizer, weak training, and the absence of stable markets. With climate change worsening floods and droughts, the risks to food security in the north are rising, making such support both urgent and strategic. The north accounts for up to 60% of Nigeria's maize output, yet farmers here continue to grapple with low yields and post-harvest losses of as much as 30%. Babangona's AI-powered platform will help close this gap by providing farmers with better inputs, training in climate-smart agriculture, access to credit, and post-harvest support such as storage and market linkage. US officials stress that the investment aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's own development agenda. According to Florence Eshalomi, the UK's trade envoy to Nigeria, the Enhanced Trade Partnership Agreement signed in 2024 set the stage for deeper economic cooperation. She highlighted that the UK sees Nigerians not just as a trade partner, but as a country where long-term development and business opportunities go hand in hand. The significance of this move is broader than farming. By strengthening rural livelihoods, the investments can reduce poverty, ease food price pressures, and stabilize communities that are often vulnerable to insecurity. For Nigeria's economy, it could mean higher maize outputs, reduced reliance on imports, and more opportunities for agribusiness and food processing industries. Trade relations are also deepening beyond agriculture. UK officials, including the Mayor of London and his deputy, have engaged Nigerian business in efforts to ease cross-border finance and reduce the red tape that prevents many Nigerian companies from opening accounts or investing in London. These efforts are part of a bigger picture, making Nigeria a more reliable partner in global trade while ensuring Nigerian businesses can operate more freely abroad. For farmers, this means access to tools that can increase yields, reduce losses, and boost incomes. For household, it promises lower food costs and more stable supplies. But for the economy, it means stronger rural productivity, new jobs across the agricultural value chain, and a step closer to food security. Nigeria's petrol market is undergoing a deep transformation backed by declining consumption, shrinking profit margin for independent marketers, and the rising adoption of alternative fuels such as compressed natural gas. Data from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority shows daily petrol consumption has dropped by 28% in 2 years from 68.35 million liters in June 2023 to 49.27 million liters in June 2025. The trend is visible at filling stations nationwide, where pump attendants increasingly sit idle due to low traffic. Customers are buying only when necessary, often limiting fuel purchases to immediate needs. The cost of petrol, driven up since the removal of fuel subsidy in May 2023, has forced households and small businesses to cut back. Generators are used sparingly while car owners weigh trips against available income. The removal of subsidies also reduced cross-border smuggling, further cutting demand volumes. Independent marketers face severe strain. Many stations now take up to 2 months to sell a 30,000-liter tanker of fuel. Some operators have cut staff unable to maintain multiple pump attendants. According to the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, low patronage, rising costs, and shrinking margins threaten their survival. The association warns that if current conditions persist, many independent marketers could disappear by 2028. At the same time, major players such as MRS, benefiting from retail partnerships with Dangote Refinery, have attracted queues due to relatively lower prices, undercutting independents. In Lagos and Abuja, MRS stations recorded long lines, with pump prices averaging 865 naira per litre, compared to 870 naira to 890 naira elsewhere. This uneven pricing structure reflects both the dominance of Dangote Refinery and the government strategy of maintaining some importation to preserve competition. The decline in patronage is evident across the country. In Abuja, Lagos, Kano, Asaba, and Nasarawa, many independent outlets remains empty. Exemption exists where prices are lower, but overall demand remains subdued. Kano stations noted slight improvements recently, but sales volume remains far below pre-subsidy removal levels. While petrol demand slows, CNG consumption is climbing sharply. In Abuja, queues at CNG stations are light the shift. At NNPC Wuse outlets, drivers reported that running costs are far cheaper with CNG, allowing them to earn more despite long wait at the pump. Bolt driver, for instance, reports operating costs as low as 2,300 naira per refuel for 4 hours of work, compared with far higher petrol expenses. Small-scale industries and transport operators are increasingly converting to gas, encouraged by lower costs and government-backed CNG programs. Analysts suggest that if the current pace of conversion continues, petrol supply could halve within the next year. Industry analysts warn that frequent and sharp changes in pump prices are destabilizing the downstream sector. For marketers, constant fluctuation makes it difficult to recover investment or repay loans secured from banks. Experts insist that competition must be fair, transparent, and sustainable if the downstream market is to attract long-term investments. The dominance of Dangote refinery is both a strength and a risk. While it ensures local supply, without adequate regulation and alternative sources, the risk of monopoly pricing grows. The government's decision to maintain importation of petrol alongside Dangote's output reflects a balancing act aimed at protecting customers. The Nigerian petrol market stands at a crossroads. Subsidy removal, rising pump prices, and a declining consumption are squeezing independent marketers and reshaping consumer behavior. Meanwhile, CNG is emerging as a viable alternative, gaining momentum among transporters and small industries. For the government, the challenge is to balance the need for competition, price stability, and energy transition. Without intervention, independent marketers could fade out, leaving the sector dominated by few big players. For customers, the shift to cheaper alternatives signals a permanent change in fuel demand. The story is no longer about scarcity of petrol, but about the affordability of energy and the future direction of Nigeria's fuel economy. Beyond oil and agriculture, the government is targeting bigger opportunities with reforms designed to create jobs and stimulate the wider economy. Nigeria's Bureau of Public Enterprise says it is liberalizing the economy through the privatization of state-owned enterprise, a strategy aimed at attracting investment, creating jobs, and delivering sustained growth. At a scorecard presentation in Abuja, the Director General of the Bureau, Ayodeji Gbeleyi, explained that the government is targeting the creation of over 50 million jobs by improving the business climate. This includes reforms in policy, infrastructure development, skills training, and support for entrepreneurship. According to him, privatization is not just about selling assets, but about reducing inefficiency in state-owned enterprises, dismantling monopolies, and opening the door for private capital, technology, and innovation to flow into key sectors. The result, he said, is lower reliance on debts, increased foreign direct investment, and more employment opportunities. The Director General pointed to specific initiatives already driving impact. The Presidential Metering Initiative, approved by President Tinubu, is rolling out 2.5 million meters this year, with a target of 7 million in the near term. This effort is expected to eliminate estimated billion, reduce energy losses, boost revenue for distribution companies, and create 20,000 jobs in the process. The Bureau also highlighted the transformation of the telecommunications sector. Before the reforms, Nigeria barely had 400,000 telephone lines. Today, there are over 169 million telephone subscribers, 138 million internet subscriptions, and broadband penetration of nearly 49%, together contributing significantly to GDP growth. Beyond telecommunication, port concessions, aviation reforms, and pension sector restructuring are showing visible gains. The 2004 pension reform, for example, ended the era of pensioners queuing endlessly for merger payments, replacing it with a regulated system now managing over 10.7 million retirement savings accounts. In aviation, the privatization of handling companies like NACO has expanded access from just 3.3 billion naira in 2024 to 41.7 billion naira in 2025. On trade facilitation, 26 port terminals have been concessioned, reducing turnaround times for cargo and boosting efficiency across 6 major Nigerian ports. The Bureau also noted that Nigeria's digital economy continues to expand. Over 500 digital hubs across the country are fostering entrepreneurship and bridging the technology gap. The PRS industry alone has generated over 1.2 million jobs, with another 500,000 direct jobs in e-commerce, which is now valued at about $15 billion. The Director General stressed that all these efforts tie into the renewed hope agenda of President Tinubu, which focuses on inclusive growth, food security, industrialization, digitization, and human capital development. For Nigerians, the impact of these reforms is far-reaching. They mean more jobs in power, technology, and services, more reliable access to energy, cheaper and faster communications, and a pension system that secures the future of workers. For the economy, it means less burden on government debt, stronger inflows of private capital, and a more competitive marketplace that attracts global investors. The Bureau of Public Enterprises is positioning privatization not as a loss of state assets, but as a gateway to modernization, innovation, and inclusive growth. If sustained, these reforms could help Nigeria unlock millions of jobs, strengthen its financial resilience, and build a more productive economy for years to come. As government policies aim to unlock millions of jobs, the Central Bank of Nigeria is also tightening oversight in the financial sector, introducing a new POS regulations to boost efficiency and secure electronic payments. Merchants and car holders in Nigeria are set to benefit from the Central Bank of Nigeria new point of sales policy, a reform that goes beyond convenience. Analysts say it strengthens security, boosts confidence in electronic payments, and reinforces the Apex Bank's broader drive for financial inclusion. With access to credit, improved transaction monitoring, and stronger consumer protection at its core, the policy is being framed as a milestone in Nigeria's cashless journey. The Central Bank of Nigeria's new point of sale policy marks a decisive step in strengthening Nigeria's financial system. While the POS booms has transformed the way Nigerians handle daily transactions, the reforms go beyond convenience. They are about security, consumer protection, and building confidence in electronic payments. Over the past decade, mobile banking and the CBN's cashless drive have turned POS agents into a lifeline for millions of Nigerians. What began as an urban novelty is now a nationwide necessity, connecting both banked and unbanked citizens to essential services such as cash withdrawals, transfers, deposits, and bill payments. This expansion has made POS agents central to the country's financial inclusion agenda. But with growth comes risks. Fraudulent activities linked to POS transactions are rising, and banks already cutting down ATM networks have leaned heavily on agents to close the gap. To address these gaps, the CBN has introduced stricter rules, mandatory geotagging of POS terminals, and migration to ISO 20022 Global Messaging Standard. Geotagging ensures that each POS machine transmits its GPS coordinates at the start of a transaction. By limiting operations to a 10-meter radius of a registered location, the policy curbs mobile fraud and prevents illegal operators from exploiting the system. At the same time, untagged devices will be blocked, signaling a firm regulatory stance. The shift places Nigerians on par with international standards already in use by SWIFT. This will improve the quality of financial data, streamline compliance, and boost security transactions. To meet this requirement, POS machine must now operate on Android 10 or higher and connect directly to the national central switch. The October 31st, 2025 deadline underscores the urgency. The timing of these reforms is significant. POS adoption has exploded with over 8.36 million registered terminals, of which 5.9 million are active. In the first quarter of 2025 alone, transaction totaled 10.51 trillion naira, an astonishing 302% jump from the same period in 2024. But this rapid growth has also made the sector more vulnerable to fraud and operational inefficiencies. For operators, POS is no longer a side hustle but a profitable businesses. Depending on location, daily earnings range between 5,000 naira to 50,000 naira. However, the cost of devices remains a barrier, with smart POS machines priced at 110,000 naira and bottom models at lower rates. Despite this cost, agents continue to expand services beyond simple cash transactions to bill payments, transfers, and third-party settlements, effectively operating as community-level banks. The CBN's measures, including the Unified Complaints Tracking System and the USSD verification code, shows the push to protect customers and reinforce trust. Still, analysts caution that enforcement will make or break the policy. Without strict monitoring, fraudsters could adapt quickly and undermine the reform. Looking ahead, the reforms represent more than just a crackdown. They are about future-proofing Nigerian financial ecosystem, making it safer, more transparent, and globally competitive. If effectively enforced, the measures could accelerate the CBN's ambitions of achieving 80% financial inclusion by 2026. The new POS policy reflects the maturing of Nigeria's digital payments system. For merchants and car holders, it promises stronger security and better services. For regulators, it provides tools to manage risks in a rapidly expanding sector. And for the wider economy, it signals Nigeria's intent to lead Africa's digital finance revolution, positioning POS not just as a tool of convenience, but as an engine of inclusive growth. From agricultural investment to shifting fuel consumption, and the central bank's tightening grip on digital payments, today's stories capture the changing face of Nigeria's economy. That's it for today on Market Square. I'm Olaiton Adebayo. Thank you for staying with me. See you on the next one.